All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So back to Africa. Martin Nyarare said something very important. Yeah.
Yes.
So Martin Nyarare said something very interesting that I never thought of it that way. And I did not want to dismiss it because it is said by Martin Nyarare. So he said, this thing is going to happen everywhere. He's talking about the post-election riot in Mozambique. Mokoni, he says, people are going to revolt, claiming that the elections were rigged. They do not provide any proof. They do not document anything. They just tell people to march the streets because they are popular and people are afraid to oppose them. It looks, and they can suspend the country. And by extension, what that means is if we do not win, no one will rule. And of course, he's speaking from Zimbabwe. So I want you to understand this. And it reminded me of when we were going to the May 2024. People were saying, Jacob Zuma is telling everyone that he is going to win elections with 2/3 majority. And you would remember, even when the party started in the December, before December ended, so within 2 weeks, he already said he had membership of 3 million people. You understand? So in the minds of people, what it means is he said he already won elections, because if you look those numbers already, if you think, and what I did in the beginning of 2024, Mdala, I went to people and told, so this 2 million, this over 3 million numbers that you already have since December, it means you are going to take this thing on a clean slate. You have already won election. This is what I kept asking them. So this 2/3 majority, how sure are you that you have it? So when they did not get the 2/3 majority, they started saying the elections were rigged. Where is my vote? And the campaigns are still rolling even now. So I know I spoke a lot. I just want us to speak about this. If someone says elections were stolen, are there avenues to prove it? Because the Mozambican problem affected business, affected the running of a country. Lives were lost. No, for us to navigate this space, because then it's going to be a trend. If I lose, someone must lose as well. I'm giving it back to you through the first son.
These things are very easy to prove and dispel.
Technically, yes, but in the minds of the people who believe that 2/3 majority was stolen, how do you do that?
No, I'm going there. In the recent by-elections, in KZN, who is losing votes left, right, and center? Where the votes that were stolen are supposed to come from? Those votes should have been translating themselves into a win of wards in an area where the party is strong. And it's not happening, or it's not happening anytime soon. Maybe in future it will happen. Now, that's how I always say it. When we deal with these things, we must separate trees from the forest. Some people, when they look at the forest, they think everything is a tree. No, there are trees, there is grass, there's even animals. Now, let's come back. A point was made this evening that the democracy that we practice is not even something that is African. We borrowed it from somewhere and all those sort of things. But I'll tell you, there's no one who has. You don't get born to be a king. You bestow kingdom on yourself, and it always does not go necessarily with respect, which is not reciprocated by fear. They must fear you for you to be a king. Now, so am I hearing that Burkina Faso is the way it is because Ibrahim Traoré Shangengwagwa, he took these things through arms. So this is the right way to go about it. If you want power, take arms, usurp power, and move forward. And this side, we're saying we must silence the guns. What are we saying? We cannot really start moving in that direction.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want you to remember this thing. It's not about proving technically because, in the courts, it could not be proven technically. So I just want you to understand, in the minds of the people, and this is where the danger is, in the minds of the people, just talk about it that way, because the way he says it makes sense, but people is not still convincing people that the elections were not lost, because election rigging does exist.
Yeah.
So when MK says election rigging, it doesn't mean they are crazy, but it's going to be difficult to prove. This is what I want you to answer on.
Power is not given, it is taken. I just wanted to put that as a disclaimer.
Sure.
All right. Look, let me talk about the South African situation and then respond to the Mozambican situation. MK is winning more wars than the ANC in KZN. The statistics are there, right? You know that. I'm not a member of MK, but we need to be statistical about things. I believe that there is some form of rigging that happened, but not at a large scale, as people of MK will want to claim.
But before you do distinguish that there is electoral mistakes. Yes, and a minor mistake might be deliberate, but it does not, in essence, mean a blanket rigging. You do understand?
There was not a massive rigging that took place.
Thank you, because it's important because of the audience. From 94, there's always been election mistakes. Yes.
If ANC had rigged election, there would be 50+1.
Thank you.
If they had rigged election, there would be 50+1. But they were matured about it. There could be some issues somewhere in some voting station. But there was not an intentional rigging by the ANC of the elections.
But if in Kelashile, they would have rigged it to 51.
Yes.
If the opportunity was there. Because of our transparency and checks and balances, it's very difficult to do a blanket rigging.
But our checks and balances are not enough.
Yes,
we need to move to a digital voting system where I can actually vote from my phone, register my ID number, vote, and then it goes to IEC same time. I don't need to go sit at some voting station. We can do that. The Americans are doing something like that. They've got the voting through. So I'm talking about a system that we've adopted from them. We're using their system.
Now we have an
so we should be at par with how they use their system. Now let me respond.
It's interrupting you.
Yeah, let me respond to the Mozambican situation. You see, Mondan, who then comes from a very region that does not have the Mondanis. It's for me, it was puzzling when and they said, no, this man is from Nampula and he's Mondan. The Mondanis are not found in Nampula. The Mondanis are in Gaza province and Maputo Potasdad and some in Nyembane province. The Mondanis are the Shibambus, by the way. So I'm speaking
Nampula, it's up there in the north, mid-north, not deep north.
No, not deep north, but around that area. So you don't find us there. You understand? You don't find. So the man modeled himself around the old man Eduardo Mondan. And he won some numbers in urban areas in Mozambique. Right, so his main support comes directly from Maputo in town and some small towns and all of that. But Frelimo's support is like the ANC support, is embedded in the rural area. And that's when you talk about Mozambique, unlike South Africa, just like South Africa, majority of the voters in Mozambique are from the rural areas. They are from Gaza province, Nyembane, Nampula, Sofala, and all of those provinces, Zambezia and all of that. So they come, the voters, the key voters that voted for Frelimo come from those areas. So Mondan did not win the election. He behaved like Julius Malema, who fill up FNB Stadium and think that that translates to voting. So because there is a hype in Maputo in town, that's why the violence was centered around Maputo. That happened. Maputo, Matola region, there in that place, the violence in Mozambique. If you went to Kashokwe and other places, Shimbutsu and other places, you could not encounter that particular violence. So it was this mentality that he saw the numbers in the urban areas, and he believes that the numbers in the urban areas then represent the realities of what the numbers should be about. So that is the problem that led to the violence in Mozambique. The same problem that the Mozambicans had is the same problem of Zimbabwe, where opposition parties in Zimbabwe, whenever they lose, they think that ZANU-PF has rigged elections. When in reality, ZANU-PF is so embedded in the communities, especially in rural communities, that it will be difficult for anyone to even not vote for ZANU-PF in reality, other than people that are in Matebele land, which is a tribal faction that do not support ZANU-PF. They've got a different narrative because of the tribalism that is taking place within the space in the politics of Zimbabwe. But in reality, if we were to check, ZANU-PF is not rigging elections.
All right,
I've been in Zimbabwe.
No, you see now, you are being unfair. You are being unfair on a fellow panelist.
No.
Let's do this. So what would you propose as solutions? Because 2026 is coming. Some of the things might repeat themselves. Some of the people might think they are taking a municipality by looking at their influence they've got in certain wards. They would start calculating that Nomanchwane has about 107 wards and 70 wards are by me, and they start thinking that they're taking the municipality. Voters lie. And we have proven, even just a small branch, launching a small branch, people, if there's a secret vote, they will even fool you. What are the possible solutions?
Mashiane, this thing is very easy. I don't even understand why we have been discussing it. And I'm going to say what I'm trying to avoid, and I'm going to say it from the perspective of the ANC. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to use elections before the 2024 ones. Mm-hmm. When we were at the counting station, looking at the numbers, and the numbers were not going up in favor of the ANC, we are always saying the big numbers are coming. From what he says, we have got support. From
but it's not foreign. It's not a foreign phenomenon to hope on, because if you know, the strong areas have not been counted yet. Everyone has been doing it.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying, you see, that mentality, it all shapisagadi the elections. Because by the time we're saying that, those votes were already counted. We were waiting for votes which were already counted. Okay. Because the people who count votes is not us. There are people who are counting votes under observation by party agents of all political parties in contestation. So, rigging elections is as remote as finding a cactus in Limpopo. It's far. Now, that's why when people who lost and alleged elections were rigging, they wanted to go and win elections by law instead of winning elections by rule of law. Okay. They went to the courts to go and prove what? To go and prove nothing, only to withdraw their cases. When
they said they're going to the international.
Chief. We have had that. In 1994, somebody told of international mediation. He died without even getting that international mediation.
Quick solution?
Quick solution. Build your structures build your political base, contest elections, and so help you God win. If you lose your
Solutions for avoiding this problem of people saying we are taking this municipality, then the numbers to start not numbering instead of accepting. You see, Julius Malema has been beaten many times.
Yes.
One thing we need to give him credit for is, even if he knows the numbers are not, his hopes of winning are not going to fruition. He would even accept defeats even when the numbers are still trickling in, because
That's
he
the
would have
trick.
done the math.
That's the
Yes.
trick.
So what do we do for
The
others who
trick
do not
is
accept?
There's a hype before elections. There's a hype. Everybody wants to hype people into supporting him. But once the results have been announced, you know very well that yes, these results are a true reflection. I've lost. Accept the defeat.
The solution is to accept defeat.
Accept defeat.
Solution, quick one.
We are living in a digital world. We need to digitalize how we vote. We are not living in 1810 now. We are living in 2025. There is a development of the fourth industrial revolution. We had fourth industrial revolution, and things should be done and be aligned to fourth industrial revolution. And my belief is that IEC need to up their games in terms of aligning with the fourth industrial revolution. We can't continue doing paper voting forever. We need to move. South Africa is an exemplary country in the African continent in terms of development and innovation. So they should take a first step in making sure that they show other African countries that to resolve election problems, we need to go into the fourth industrial revolution.
Do you not think, I know it's your suggested solution, and I know the IEC would have went to it a long time ago. Do you understand that the problem might be that this thing goes with people accepting? Because in politics, there's a question of legitimacy. Legitimacy is social contract with the people. You might win with those electronics, but certain people may not believe that you actually won because you came with computers. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No.
Because it might be a solution to you, but
we
the
need to-
people that you are leading might not even think you're...
But we need to
Michelle.
go to a level of saying that, you see, that's one of the biggest problems with South Africa is the problem of literacy.
I agree with you, but we've got one of the
so we
highest
need to-
literacy.
yes.
But with that, it's still a problem.
Yeah.
We've got one of the highest. I
Yeah,
think we're
but
at
we need to
around
deal with that.
between 80-something or 90-something, but we are very, very high.
But listen, you can have perceived high literacy rate, but you've got a functional literacy rate. So it means that you've got people that you perceive to be literate, but they're literate and ignorant at the same time.
All right,
There's
chap, let me pass.
So that could be the problem, because a voter in South Africa, South African voters do not vote based on merit. Me and you know that. We vote based on the emotive side of things. We vote. I will not go and vote for the DA, even if I'm sleeping. You understand? Because I understand what the DA is associated with, not because DA can deliver. Do you understand what I mean? DA can deliver, but the consciousness of who I am can't allow me to vote for the DA. So that is the kind of a voter that we have in South Africa, right? That political, in terms of education and everything else, that is the penetration that is needed, right? In the other African continent, except for South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, and Namibia, things have changed in the mindset of the voter. If you look at Zambia, there have been different political parties that have been able to win election in Zambia. There is not a liberational movement that is running Zambia, right? If you go to Malawi as well, there is no liberational movement that runs the country in Malawi, right? Okay, I will just add Tanzania to that. But majority of the other African countries, except where there are issues of coups and all of that, they've moved away from liberational politics of voting. Nigeria as well, it has moved away from that. They vote based on the fact that there's someone who says, these are the developmental things that I will do for the people, and these are the changes that I will make for the people. But in South Africa, when it's election time, we are then reminded about Nelson Mandela, we are reminded about Oliver Tambo, we are reminded about Solomon Mahlangu and all of that. Right? It's important. But
All right.
a voter is told about those